dedicated to each and every one of you who appreciate a great glass of wine. You know what I mean?
It's Monday. Let's raise a glass to the beginning of another week. It's time to unscrew, uncork, or saber a bottle. And let's begin exploring the wine glass. Today's episode is a little different. We're taking you inside a live tasting event at the San Francisco Wine School, hosted by Master Sommelier David Glancy. This special session is focused on the wines of Castilla y León, one of Spain's most dynamic and diverse regions, home to some of the country's most iconic appellations and innovative producers. You'll hear the clinking of glasses, the energy of the crowd, and plenty of wine wisdom as we explore what makes the region so distinctive, from its bold reds to its elegant whites. So pour yourself a glass, settle in, and join us for the immersive tasting experience straight from the classroom to your earbuds. Please take a moment of your time to subscribe, rate, and review to Exploring the Wine Glass. It's completely free, and it's a great way to let other wine lovers know about the podcast. Be sure to head over to the website exploringthewineglass.com to read my award-winning blog, to see what else I've been up to, and most of all, please tell your friends about the podcast. Slancha!
Hey everybody, I'm Lori Budd, a UC Davis winemaking program, Spanish wine scholar, sommelier service, champagne and Côte d'Aron specialist, and a WSET Level 2 graduate. You can find Exploring the Wine Glass on all the socials, as well as your favorite podcast catchers. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time to swipe, subscribe, rate, and review. Stay in the know about all things wine by visiting my website, exploringthewineglass.com. I promise I'll never tell you what to drink, but I'll always share what's in my glass.
Special, even in the Bible.
Autonomous region in the world. 11 UNESCO heritage sites here, spectacular countryside, and certainly a tumultuous past. Wine production is diverse, and it's easy to say that Castilla y León, 80-odd% red wine. What's the most important grape? Tempranillo. Sure, we've got the basics there, but there is diversity beyond that. We're certainly going to experience that in the first three wines. And I'm super stoked to taste wine too. I have not pre-tasted these. Home to the end of the Camino de Santiago. Has anyone walked the Camino de Santiago? Three of us, one before. Yay. So spiritual ritual that I highly recommend, and I would hazard that more than half the people doing the Camino are not doing it for religious purposes. It's just a spiritual thing. The full Camino being Camino Portuguesa, because there's some 40-odd different Caminos, but Camino Portuguesa from Lisbon all the way to Santiago de Compostela. Massive. I did Porto to Algarve and have to go back and do Algarve. Anyway, spectacular thing. If you don't know about it, watch the movie The Way, starring Martin Sheen, and you'll want to go. And then don't look for the documentaries that show what it's really like. There is pain on the journey as well. Blisters are a main thing that we will account for. But cool that it's the end of this. There is certainly religious and historic significance in the region. So 80,000 hectares of vines. What does that make it? About 200,000 acres-ish. Can I do the math? 160.
2.3.
Okay, around 200,000 acres. Great. 6% of Spain's total wine production, so significant. We could look to a region south, Castilla y León, for more volume. Over 600 wineries, but there are some very large estates amongst all this. 10 different designations. So 4 VCs, 3 Vino de Pago, and then we have all of the DOs that we'll talk about. 10 DOs, sorry. That is certainly a lot. All right. History, yes, the Romans were here. They weren't the only ones here. Everyone was here. All right, so very quick going back to it. We had the people of Vaseo. The Basque people were certainly here in the northern portion. Roman occupation was definitely significant here. The Visigoths invaded. The Moors invaded, the English and the French took turns jumping in as well. Everyone wanted some involvement here. There's lots of other nations we can talk about, especially the Civil War. Lots of people on both sides. Very confusing story. But we can look at 722, the Reconquista. This is basically when the Moors were pushed out. They had control of almost all of Spain, so certainly Castilla y León was part of that. País Vascos was sort of the portion that was not controlled by the Moors. Camino de Santiago started in 1814, looking at the relics, the remains being carried across on this route and delivered to the church there. Definitely Christianization of the region in the Middle Ages. And then 1469, Ferdinand of Aragon and Isabella of Castile, this is where it got united. And this is a super brief history, not even talking about the various kingdoms of Spain, because this is where Aragon, basically Castilla, Aragon, and Leon got brought together to make what would become Spain. But Kingdom of Aragon, on its own, controlled vast amounts of the Mediterranean at various portions. I think it's fun to talk about that briefly because people get into argument of where is Grenache from. Is it Italian? Is it French? Is it Spanish? It's Aragonese, really, if we look at as much information as we have so far. Correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but seeing how the Kingdom of Aragon did control a huge part of the Mediterranean, including Sardinia, including southern France. Yeah, absolutely. And Ferdinand and Isabella, they're kind of important to us here. Okay? They paid for the boats to come to the US to discover another place. All right, 1860s, France experiences phylloxera and Spain steals the spotlight. And yeah, France was just decimated. They can't make wine, and the Spaniards are like, we're going to make all the wine and sell the wine, and largely did not prepare for phylloxera, and it eventually came. So that's kind of an interesting thing, but there was a good portion of time where Spain was largely the most important global market. 1880s, phylloxera finally arrives in Castilla y León. We skipped the Spanish Civil War, but yes, that was its own issue, but the Spanish Constitution in 1978, and Spain became the democracy that it is today, and with the king as well. Amazing how all of this is merged together, and what a fascinating place. I'd say there are many countries like this. France is very different in different places. Italy, very different in different places. There is regionality, and trust me, we know the US is very different in different places. California is its own country, perhaps. Maybe. All right. So, 1983, Castilla y León gained their autonomous status. So let's look at the place, what it is like soil-wise, climate-wise. Basically, Castilla y León is a bit of a heat trap. It is, let's see if my mousey will do things for me. Yeah, sure. All right, so we're looking at, okay, we've got all of Castilla y León here. We're not showing what is around it. This is the orange portion in the map, top right. So we have the Duero River basin. Here is the Duero River, where my pen highlight or whatever is going. And the Duero, you know, goes basically from Rioja and the foothills of the Pyrenees down and goes and becomes the Douro once it goes into Portugal. So we have the mountains all around it. As I said, it's a heat trap. It is a high elevation, mostly valley. So the Monte Leon, the Cordillera Cantabria, the Cantabrian Mountains, the Asturian Mountains, this is all separating it from the green Spain, the cool influences of the Bay of Biscay, or Basque Country, the Atlantic. That cold, wet influence to the north is blocked by the Asturian, Cantabrian, and Bascos Mountains. Sistema Ibérico, as well as the Sistema Central, so blocking it off from the center of Spain. It is not part of the Meseta, the high plateau, but it's still pretty high elevation. Looking at Spain, one thing that surprises a lot of people, I think a lot of people who haven't been there don't think of it as mountainous, and the highest peaks are nowhere near the highest in Europe. Nowhere near it. But it's the highest average elevation of all Europe. That's pretty crazy. The central plateau, the Meseta, the table, is very high, and then the mountains going up around it. But this is a heat trap. We'll talk about it a little more. But within Castilla y León, multiple provinces. So I don't need to read them all, but I'll go through the slides. So the province of Avila and Burgos, up here, the most interior. Gothic architecture started here. Leon, the birthplace of the fueros, and this is basically what's it called? Sharecropping, where you face almost like feudal states, where you've got someone protecting the people, but they're paying taxes on it. Regional stuff, but also centers of commerce and regulations, but it's not states or countries, really. Salamanca, the University of Salamanca, one of the oldest universities in Europe. Segovia, great Roman architecture here, and I don't know how many people took high school Spanish in the US. Okay. ¿Dónde está Segovia? Okay, so I swear to God, that's the only reason I know it. It was in the movies all the time in school. And Valladolid, the old capital, right here in the center. And this is where we're looking at the transition between Ribera del Duero and Sardana del Duero. Sort of, that's kind of the heart of the Duero River, right through the middle of it. All right, looking at climate, continental and extreme temperatures. It is certainly said 3 months of winter, 9 months of hell. It gets very, very hot, but there is a big diurnal shift. Day to night temperature changes, and New World, Old World doesn't matter. There are a lot of hot places that have that big cooling effect at night, and some that don't. Fortunately, this is one that does have some of that. Very rainfall, late frosts. There are challenges here, and I will say we could take it beyond Castilla y León, but kind of like California in a way, that there can be multiple years of drought. But unlike California, then all of a sudden, torrential rain and flooding, and this is something that we see in lots of places. There is, I'd say, more room in the rows up front, if you want, or not. Okay, we're all good. All right, looking at soils, very, very diverse soils. The river valleys, the plains, and into the mountains. This is something seeing the Duero River basin particularly. The Duero River was much larger in the past, much wider, much more forceful hundreds of years ago than it is today. So if you go through the region closest to the river, it can be, a mile in that you're still seeing riverbed gravel. You're still seeing what used to be the bottom of the river. So we've got these well-draining gravel soils and pockets of sand where we might find ungrafted, unrooted, pre-phylloxera vines, very, very old vines in some of those cases, but pockets of clay, alluvium is what I talked about, sandy, well-drained soil, moved by the river, sandy, stony, some limestone I found going up into the slopes, limestone and even quartz, silica type stuff, shining, looking like diamonds in the soil. But the plains largely limestone, clay, sand, and loam. And when we get to one portion, we've got big river stones, almost like the Galette stones of Châteauneuf-du-Pape. Very, very similar, radiating heat back up. But slate, quartz, granite, it is not, the overall region of Castilla y León could not really be a DO that is meaningful because it's so diverse. That's why there are all these sub-appellations within it for some degree of homogenization of what the place is like. And winemakers in the back are welcome to correct me anytime as well. So key grapes, Tempranillo, that is the answer on every exam, no matter what you throw it. Tempranillo, what 10 synonyms for this grape, it's all over the place. But the grape that is unexpected, and to me, not what I'm thinking of for Castilla y León, because in my head, Castilla y León is hot, and we're doing thick-skinned grapes and powerful wines. And then Mencia is a grape that thrives in fairly cool climates, but it's only planted in the cooler pockets, the places that get more rainfall. Tremendously elegant wine. Who's had 100% Mencia wines? Okay, only half of you. We're going to have fun. We've got a wine that has Mencia in it, but we don't have 100% Mencia here. I'm sure we will have something in the walk around. So look for that. They are very, very fun wines. Can be Pinot Noir-ish, thin-skinned grapes. My call for salmon sometimes. All right, depends. Okay, Garnacha Tinta, Ruffet, Prieto Pequeño, Garnacha Tintorera, and Garnacha Tintorera. Anyone know what that grape is? Minus one.
Alicante.
Alicante Boucher. Where'd that come from? Okay. Yeah. Alicante Boucher. Tintoria grape. So it is, Garnacha Tintoria is different from Garnacha Tinta. Okay, fun stuff. Cab Sauv and Merlot, sure, we've got pockets of everything. Key grapes, but there's Malbec, there's other things that are here and there, but no great quantities. Most dominant grape that is typical for the region is Verdejo. Godello is better known to be in green Spain, but again, like Mencia, in the cooler pockets, there's Godello. Palomino, the grape we know of for sherry, Albio de Oro, Blanco, Doña Blanca, Malvasia, Castellana, and Sauvignon Blanc. And actually, there's a fair amount of Sauvignon Blanc that maybe should be higher on the list. And other grapes as well. All right, stop me if you have questions or comments. I'm trying to do this as a hour class as we talk about it, and get you through these lovely wines. And I meant to say, please go ahead. When I poured the whites and rosés, they were ice cold, too cold. They are probably perfect temperature now. So if you want to smell and taste beyond where we are, we're about to taste wine one. But if you want to move beyond those to catch them while they're a little cold and then catch them warmer and warmer and with more oxygen. So Rueda is really an isolated case here. We're looking at some 80% red wine in Castilla y León overall, but Rueda is an entirely white wine appellation, so it sticks out here. So, I said entirely, 99%, apologies. 99% of DO's output. Second most heavily planted DO, oldest demarcated region in Castilla y León, authorized for red and rosé since 2008. That's me not paying attention to the slides. But that's less than 1% of the acreage. I will tell you, it is the largest DO region within as well. It is a very, very large area, and it is almost entirely flat, unlike some of the other regions. This is, let's see, the picture. I cannot really zoom it while I'm doing this. Let me see. So this picture doesn't really tell everything, but bush vine is what we see almost everywhere and very, very low to the ground. But this is where I saw mostly galette stones, big river rocks in the vineyard, radiating heat. And it is kind of surprising to see that and producing white wines of high acid. But that is the grape. Verdejo is capable of great acidity, and anyone making wine in California, but okay, different grapes than you do, but Sierra foothills, Lodi, Paso should be planting more Verdejo. It is capable of acid, even in a hot climate where Chardonnay is not really.
I was going to say, and it's not Chardonnay.
And it's not Chardonnay. Yeah. So why am I taking their one? I have my own one. If anyone wants to, I'm going to take everybody's wine. So yes, question.
Like Los Altos Hills, do you think that would go well there?
Los Altos Hills, I don't think is really hot enough to need it. It certainly can be hot, but One thing about, for me, Santa Cruz Mountains, you know, Los Altos and all over the area, it is unpredictable climate, but I would call it mostly cool. We have days where it'll break 100 for sure, but this is fun. Has anyone done much hiking in the Santa Cruz Mountains?
Yeah.
Okay, one hand. You're a hiker. Okay, she's yes on everything. So this is fun. Hiking on Santa Cruz Mountains and deciding after the hike, okay, let's go taste a few wines at Thomas Fogarty. It's just 12 minutes from here, and we thought it was going to snow. So going from hot to cold can happen very, very quickly in the Santa Cruz Mountains. It's not that kind of cool down here. So Santa Cruz Mountains, everywhere in it, I still think almost all places should be Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, other cool climate grapes. Albarino, maybe.
Yeah.
Perhaps. Riesling could do. But there are some hot pockets, and Cabernet just has more acid, less alcohol. Anyway, I digress. Let's go to this wine on your thing. We are challenging you. The wines 1 through 4 are in the top row, so reach over to get them. And on your list of the wine, it lists this as Rojo Exporta. I will say those words do not appear anywhere on the label, front or back, or on the tech sheet. But this is the company. J. Fernando is what is on the label, clearly and visibly, but sometimes it's hard to tell what the wine is. This is 100% Verdejo, and smell it and taste it. How many people have not had Ruedo before? Any Ruedo? Everyone's had Ruedo. Okay, one. Okay, great. All right, so for one person, great. Tell me what other grape this reminds you of. Does it smell or taste like the character of its fruit, its acid, herbal, vegetal, floral? Does it remind you of any other grape? Oh, I didn't take a spit cup, so I must go this.
It's a little bit like Sauvignon Blanc, Semillon, maybe more than Sauv Blanc.
Yeah, I like that call. To me, the first dozen or so times I tasted Rueda, I'm like, wow, it is so much like Sauvignon Blanc, I could sell the hell out of this as a Sauvignon Blanc alternative. You know Sauvignon Blanc, this is not that great, but it's very similar. Citrus, herbal, vegetal, high acid. Now this is an unoaked example with no lees agent. When you do the walk-around tasting, you will find many like this, but you will also find some with extended lees aging, some with barrel fermenting. This is regions all over the world. There are people trying different styles. And I don't know. Anyone from Castilla y León give me a good answer? I think the unoaked is the more typical, but I don't know if it's getting into 30 to 40% of them are now using lees and oak for their top wine, whereas their entry level is like this. Anyone? Okay. Okay, never mind. So I do think that is the case. Ask the winemakers who were pouring Rueda wines, but lovely fresh wine from a hot climate. It is amazing that this can be done. Lovely example. All right. And no one from Rojo Exporta is here. Okay, beautiful. All right. Now we're going to talk about a DO that we're not going to taste. We do not have a Cigalas in front of us, but I want to cover the 10 DOs. So almost 2/3 of the region's production is devoted to rosé, as the slide says. So awesome. This is definitely one of the cooler appellations as well. Tinta del País is 70% of the plantings. And anyway, Tinta del País, dark of the country, is what name internationally known? Tempranillo. Tempranillo is always the answer. Yeah. Tinta del País is Tempranillo. Great. Cigalas is one of Spain's largest rosé producing regions, battling with Navarra for sure. Majority of the regions produce via the claret method. So this is basically co-fermentation is a piece of what this is. It is not everything. But Cigalas one to look for that in the walk around since we don't have it this evening. Bierzo, that is our second wine. that we're going to talk about here. Wine number 2 is the Bierzo region focused on Mencia production. So look for reds for sure from here. Burgundy-inspired classification system. Interesting, a region that a lot of people haven't heard of is trying to emulate Burgundy. And it's fair, the wines are stylistically like that. Maritime influences slope inwards. So this is the Cantabrian hills. We're getting up into elevation, getting towards green Spain, getting towards the Atlantic. So slope vineyards, lower elevations of the slopes. And a sexy bottle here. Actually, it does not look like that exactly. It looks a little different. It doesn't say claret on the bottle. It looks, unless I'm reading it incorrectly. Yeah, I must be reading it incorrectly. On the bottle, it looked like it said Clos or something, but it must be claret. It looks clear here. So it's 75% Mencia, which is a red grape, 25% Palomino, which is a white grape. And this is something I've seen in northern, especially northwestern Spain, to put a little bit of Palomino, and instead of like sherry in this blazingly hot region and getting them very ripe, they're light and fresh and providing acidity. But Mencia on its own already has pretty good acidity. And if anyone has technical questions on the wines, I do have tech sheets. Mark, yeah.
Just to get clarity here, the slide says 75% Mencia, 25 Palomino. The tech sheet says the other way around, 75 Palomino, 25 Mencia. Is this mostly white grapes or mostly red grapes?
Ah, you were right. Okay.
I don't know which is correct.
Wait a minute, everyone, look at the color of your wine for a moment. Look deeply at the color of your wine. Ignore me. Just look at your.
Ignore the woman behind the curtain.
You are absolutely right. It is. The tech sheet I have in front of me, I didn't pay enough attention to it. But that's pretty damn dark for 25% thin skin red. And yet getting that much color. So they talk about not just claret method. Claret is a term in Bordeaux for a darkly colored rosé. So part of that is co-fermentation, but it is something you can find in Bordeaux, specifically labeled Claret de Bordeaux. And one of my favorite anticipated Master Sommelier exam questions, what is the difference between claret, and claret? Yeah. If it's confusing, attack it. All right, so, but what do you think of wine? Elegant?
Which wine?
But it's a food wine. This is not a pork pounder. There's that little bit of tannin, there's refreshing acidity, that tannic structure for all the people loving on skin contact whites. This is a rosé with structure. I would have no problem serving this a little bit warmer, decanting it, but I like it when you can chill. Understand, you get this ice cold, that tannin is going to seem a little more bitter. So I think this is more of a cellar temp service wine, and a food wine rather than just a pounder.
Yeah, in a tapas bar in Madrid with shrimp, gambas, just that would be perfect, yeah.
I can't remember the name of the market, but there's this, it's only like 20 years old or something, but there's this indoor walk-around market in Madrid that it's food stalls and beverage stalls, and I can't imagine limiting myself to one thing. I would have to get all around. Has anyone been to that thing? I can't remember. Oh, it's crazy, but whatever thing it is. And I'm drinking their wine. Apologies to this person.
So they pay 75% here.
75, no, so it is 75% Palomino. Yeah, the tech, unless, because I do have the tech sheet, we looked up the tech sheet. It is crazy. So they say co-fermented and aged 10 months in stainless tank, certified organic, 390 cases made, and only 100 cases into the US.
Wow.
You want to corner the market? Hey. Anyone can take all that? All right. Take a pallet? All right. Anyway, So, lovely, lovely stuff. Elegant wines for sure. And it repeats it a couple of times that it is 75% Palomino. 80-year-old vineyard. It does not say 80-year-old vines specifically. Yum. And a sexy bottle. Would that not fly off the shelf? Okay, by the glass, that would work as well. So, now we're talking about the Tierra de León DO. Basically, this is a very large appellation and relatively new, getting its DO status in 07. Rosé and red together make 90% of the production, but there is some white wine as well. Prieto Picudo is most of the plantings. We are not tasting one here. So look around and see if someone has one in the walk around. I don't know. I'm sorry, was there someone here from Bodegas Island? No? Okay, just making sure. Get my attention if I'm talking about your wine, so I can give some floor time. Okay, so Tierra de León, we're not tasting it here, but next door, look for it. Arlanza Dio, again, we're not going to taste anything in the seated session, but look for it in the walk around. Winemaking completely abandoned post-phylloxera, only recently coming back. Harsh climates, Castilla y León's smallest production region, Tempranillo-based wines. I actually have never had one. Has anyone had one? Okay. No one from Spain has had one. That's a telling sign. Okay. Arribas Dio, we will not be tasting this either unless we find one next door. Temperatures moderated by maritime influence being on the river. Indigenous varieties are what we're likely to see. I have never had varietal Juan Garcia, but I have had Buffet. That's kind of fun to see. I have had Juan Blanca, so some fun wines here. More than half the wines are 60 plus years of age. We're seeing pictured terrace vineyards along the river. And now, has anyone heard of Ribera del Duero?
No.
Just kidding. So everything we have except for all the rest of this is Ribera del Duero with the exception of wine 8. I know glass 5 is empty. If you find that box, let me know, and we'll open it and enjoy the wine. But we did have one box disappear, and that was it. But everything else is going to be Ribera del Duero. That's how important this appellation is. Red wine focused, 98% red. So educators will probably say it's all red. Don't ignore the 2%. So Tempranillo is dominant, but there are other Bordeaux grape varieties here, and there is white wine made. As of 2019, Albillo Mayor is allowed to make white wine. 32 different soil types. This is really what I was talking about. Along the riverbed, Ribera del Duero, Sardán del Duero, Rueda, all along the river, massive variation in the soil depending on how close you are to the river and how soils got moved along as the water flowed and then receded.
And now, a word from our sponsor. Exploring the Wine Glass is brought to you by Dracaena Wines. Dracaena Wines is an artisan winery located in Paso Robles, California. They have been producing wine since 2013. Their first vintage began with one wine, their classic Cabernet Franc, which received a 91 in Wine Enthusiast. Since then, they have increased production as well as expanded their portfolio, have received many accolades including multiple double gold medals and consistent 90-plus ratings. Visit their website www.dracaenawines.com or use the link in the show notes to schedule a private tasting and to see their entire portfolio. Purchase your award-winning wine and let Dracaena Wines help turn your moments into great memories.
All right, more info on Ribera del Duero. Most planted DO in Castilla y León. One of the highest average elevations in Europe. This is something I talked about for Spain overall as a country. Aging requirements longer than the national requirements. I like to talk about this all the time. Reserve or Reserva, however we spell it, E-S-I-S. Reserve in the US has 0 legal meaning. Surprising Reserve in France has no legal meaning. Reserve in Italy has a very specific legal meaning, different in every freaking village. Spain at least has a national system, only with an exception for Rioja in one of the tiers and an exception for Ribera del Duero in one of the tiers. But otherwise, there's a national system that makes it easy to understand and know that reserve means it's been reserved usually in oak. And would you hold back your lesser quality juice? No. You're going to take your best juice, your best wine, you're going to age that longer. So Reserva is aged longer, but it's going to be your best wine. And there are other requirements that connect into it, including barrel size requirements. And now let's taste this fun. So this, I have not tasted yet. I'm tasting it with you, but a Ribera del Duero Rosé, we do not find that many of these. And this one is barrel fermented and barrel aged. I believe this winery also makes one that is unoaked. But 100% Tempranillo from Ribera del Duero. 4 months in oak is my understanding. Anyone from this winery? No. Okay, this...
American oak or French? Yeah, I know, sorry.
Slovakian, Slovenian, and Chinese.
Yes,
Kidding?
you nailed it. Yes.
French.
Let's see.
You think?
They didn't say.
Actually, say French.
They didn't say. Oh, no, French. Okay.
Thank you.
New French oak. So it was fermented in new French oak after 4 months transferred out. But a very you can spell it on the nose.
Yes.
And open it up. Comments on this wine. The winemaker's not in the room at the moment, so you can say anything.
One thing I found when opening rosés, when I look to a rosé, I look for brightness.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm getting from these is more subdued and a much richer mouthfeel than I anticipate for most rosés.
Yeah.
I can understand it on this one with the oak, but the other one I think is just with the fruits.
Yeah, I think the wine number 2, the wine number 2 from Bierzo, the first rosé, to me smells elegant, and it starts elegant, and then the tannin comes through, and there's weight, but it's not like perfumed aromatic, and it's absolutely dry. But this, on the nose, oak is the dominant aroma, and it's almost like dried fruit, dried flowers underneath the oak aromas. The fruit and acid persist and push through the oak to me. I think that oak is absolutely present. I'm curious how this wine would age. I have no idea, but it's fun to see there are wines that you don't expect to age. Classic example, Chateau Moussard Rosé from Lebanon. 15, 20 years. Can age beautifully. Maybe this textural, weighty rosé could be ageable. I'd be curious if there's anyone from the importer who can talk about it. Again, it's slow.
So the question will be, what will drop out first, the fruit or the oak?
Yeah, my hope would be the oak would be fading and the fruit would persist. The acid makes me think that's possible, and but who knows? It is wine making and aging is not linear. It is science, mystical, and art all rolled into one. Any other comments on that rosé before we move along? Yeah, so I can tell you, as I said, fermented, the cold fermented, but quickly, I'm sorry, it wasn't fermented oak, but quickly passed into the French oak barrels. Dark toasted oak. Fermentation continued in the barrels. So I was right. Unfined, unfiltered. So giving a little more weight to the wine for sure. All right. Continuing on, we're going to step out of Ribera del Duero for a moment, and then we'll come back to it. So we're talking about Tierra del Vino de Zamora. Region is roughly equal parts of red and white. Tempranillo is 88% of the red. Malvasia Castellana, which is Castilian Malvasia, but it is an aromatic white for sure. That's 75% of it. And rosé is made via the claret method again. So we're talking about, we spell claret. Never mind. We're talking about some coma fermentation and deep pigment for the rosés. So now I thought we had someone from the winery here. She was in the room and stepped out. But this is the wine Castilla del Buen Amor, good love, house of good love. I like that. The region being Tierra del Vino de Zamora, not a very well-known appellation, but I got the tech and we can go through that. And I largely ordered these wines by either age or alcohol level or grape. So my expectation is that this is sort of the lightest of the fairly big reds. So let's see what we've got. And the vintage is indeed 20. It is 1 year older than most of the reds we're going to taste. Thoughts, comments? No? To me, this is on the elegant side, and we're getting oaky notes, but it is not dominant. This is not, a massively bodied wine. Medium plus body. It's got some bright acid, keeping it fresh. The tannins there in balance. In a blind tasting, I gotta be honest, I'd probably be calling this Rioja. It really gives that vibe, and there is certainly sort of a damp forest floor kind of earthiness to it. Looking at this, aged in French and American oak, combination of used and new, 14 months, so very, very balanced. Nothing else stated about it. I know that someone either from the winery or the importer is in the other room. Okay, I'm gonna pull. All right, so we don't have wine 5, so we're gonna skip past it. We're gonna talk about Toro, but that will be on wine number 8. We had a slight change up, so this is sort of a little out of order. But Tempranillo equals Tinta del Toro. I wish I could have left that blank and had it as a quiz question. All right, Toro wines included on the manifest of the Pinta, coming to the U.S. Yes, home of the most peak phylloxera vines of all of Castilla y León. Lowest rainfall in the region, third most planted region. And I told the story a year ago, I'm going to tell it again. Instead of Toro DO, there is Vino de la Tierra Castilla y León. There is a wine made by Miguel Torres. Anyone see it? It's got a bottle with a little plastic black bull hanging off a string off the side. That's the first Spanish red I ever had. Sangre de Toro.
Sangre de Toro.
So really easy to confuse that entry-level wine with the Toro DO. But if we look at wines like wine number 8, which we'll get to, and the wines of Bodega de Mancia and others, these can be powerful wines of great quality. But number 5, we do not have, that's the missing thing, but Tinta Fino, yes, that's Tempranillo, and we're going to come back, cover a few more DOs, and then taste the rest of our wines. Yes.
Tinta Fino is really a Portuguese red. There's nomenclature. I thought it was only called Tinta de Fino in the Douro.
So it's funny that you ask anyone in Spain and they probably speak a fair amount of Portuguese, or at least understand what the Portuguese are saying. You talk to someone in Portugal, they understand Spanish, or at least most of what they're saying. And the borders are fluid because it's in the EU. So then I was actually talking to Jason in the back, who had been to one of the wineries, not here, but had been to Rías Baixas. And I talked about my hotel was in Spain on the coast, and we needed to go to a winery in Spain that was 40 minutes away. So they drove us into Portugal, over, and back into Spain. When we did the Camino hiking, we walked up to the river, hailed the boat, and motorboated over. There's no border patrol, there's nothing. So the border, you're crossing the Minho River. But Portugal, Spain, it is a artificial political boundary. It is not real. So the blending between the two can be what we've learned in textbooks, and sometimes people get loose with it. Yeah, so we see it in both. All right, so I talked about VCs. VCs are Vino de Calidad. So it is below DO in the labeling hierarchy. At the top is DO, denominación, DOCA, denominación de orden codificada, and then denominación de orden. So we move below that, VC, but all of these tiers are equivalent to the European Union's PDO. It is the Vino de la Tierra, VDLT, which is equivalent to the PGI for less regulated, bigger regions. But VC Castilla y León is this entire autonomous region, so it is immense. So there are sub-regions within it, saber, the mountains there and the valley, the Salamanca Mountains and the Benavente Valley. But more than we need to know for the moment, go taste it. Vino de Pagos. If anyone finds Vinos de Pagos confusing, welcome to the party. So, very, very confusing. I will say, when the Vino de Pagos were first approved, I created a sommelier program for someone else, and I'd seen it come up as a test question in higher level Master Sommelier exams, and I didn't know about it because I passed a few years earlier, and it was new to me, so I'm finding it, and I'm finding the documents were only in Spanish, and I got Google Translate to translate, and that didn't work out very well because Pago is payment. All right, and then I found Grandes Pagos de España, and I'm like, oh, that's the same. No, it isn't. So Vino de Pago is the top of the hierarchical pyramid, but it's not, because we have something below that, DOCA, Denominación de Origen Codificada, and that is Rioja and Priorat only. And neither one of them has a Vino de Pago in them. The Vino de Pagos are all in either DOs, VCs, or VDLTs. So the Vino de Pago, these single vineyard wines, are separate and different. And how they were created was an organization called Grandes Pagos de España lobbied the Spanish government to create this new tier. And some of the GPEs are Vino de Pagos, and some are not. And some of the Vino de Pagos have applied to be GPE and been denied. So they are separate things. They're both prestigious, but Vino de Pago is official to the government. These are single vineyard wines of great quality, regardless of what grape or region we're talking about. Grandes Pagos de España is an association of top producers. Think of that like the VDP in Germany, that it's different from the German government, but it's high regulation. So, the Pago being at the top of the pyramid, really it should be over here as a very specific thing. But anyway, there are 3 of them within Castilla y León, Lorena, the Hesamanalba, and Abadia Retuerta. And Abadia Retuerta, okay, we both went different times to this winery. It is a single winery, I mean, as all the Vino de Pagos are, but a spectacular estate right next to Ribera del Duero. Abuts it. Okay, so let us taste another wine because we are supposed to be finishing up. We have 2 Ribera del Dueros, wine 6 and 7, followed by a Toro in glass 8. That is not wine 5, mysteriously arriving, is it? Yeah.
That's 8.
8 was changed out.
and number 8 was a little off, and in front of the borders.
Oh,
And you got
So
your
we're not
Yes.
but not cork.
off.
That was why you had the extra glass.
Putting it politely.
Okay, so, all right, next one, there's no one here, but I'm going to keep my 8 and get a new 8, so I can, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so, thank you. All right. Thank
It's
you.
early in the tasting. You're a James producer.
Oh,
Try to wine and go, have you tasted this? And she goes, no, I don't.
there is a marked difference.
She's like,
Okay.
thank you.
Whoopsie. All right.
Your customers are right.
Yeah. Well,
Totally messed up.
I rejected.
Oh, I know what I did.
rejected number
I know what I did.
4.
Yeah.
Number 4 is a textbook example of pork tape. But we caught that, but not here. All right. So, wine number 6, Malpianatari. And I'm just going to pull out my text sheet. Oh, wait, no, I apologize. We are. Yeah, I moved my text sheets in the wrong order. The line is correct. Okay, yeah. 6 is not the other side. Okay, beautiful. Don't let me get confused. Anyone from Alcantara Tower? No. Okay. I'm getting a little more primary fruit in this than I did in the Buenamor. And it seems like a little more oak as well. Definitely more body, more alcohol, more ripeness. Yeah, the tannin, everything. But very, very warming in the chest here. Now the last one was about 50-50 French and American oak. This is also French and American, and they don't give percentages, but they say semi-new. Okay, so I'm not sure if that means all of them second, third, fourth use, or if that means some are new and some are not. Not really sure. Any other comments on the wine? Because I've got something else. In addition to the structure, the weight, and the power, the richness, there's something a little more savory about this one as well to me. Sense of cured meat. Yeah, it's just very, very savory. I like it. I like it a lot. And I keep putting my hand glass down.
Just
I cannot help
But the last one will be great.
Yeah, the last one, I know what I'm going for sure. Let's see. What else can we say about this? 100% Tempranillo, 12 months aging. I'll leave it alone. But they do talk about in the taste vanilla and spice and balsamic. I'm not getting as much of that character in this wine. Okay. Yes. So, wine number 7. I'm not going to get this wrong. Again, 100% Tempranillo. Again, Ribera del Duero. It says Bodegas Rodero SL. Basically is the company, but on the label, what is very big on the label is Carmelo Rodero Raza. That's what's really big on the label. So, just like you see right there. Wow. Even more intense fruit on the nose, yes? Yeah, inkier color. I'm happy with my tasting order so far. I think I'll finish happy. But really, really ripe fruit. So for anyone studying blind tasting and you get old world wines have less fruit, less alcohol, less oak, all of that is complete hooey. That is not accurate. Warm regions get grapes ripe. And if grapes are ripe, alcohol might be high, and if it's rich and ripe, you might use more oak. So that's not a New World, Old World, or Europe versus newer regions thing. It's a climate thing. And this even has some, am I in a New World wine region? There's some, chocolate-covered cherry. There is a lot of fruit, a lot of big, gripping tannin, hedonistic wine. But lovely. The acid is still coming through. But wow, that is a sexy beast. I don't have the retail on this, but I bet it's pricey. It smells like a lot of expensive, not barrel, not fooders that have been used for 100 years. No. I'll be curious for favorite wines when we get to the end. All right, now we have to leave Ribera del Duero, so sorry about that, and talk about Toro. And the grape of Toro is Tinta del Toro, the dark of Toro, which is
Tempranillo.
Tempranillo. Okay, we keep that easy. But the Toro deal, not to be confused with Miguel Torres' Sangre de Toro. I'm going to say, okay, it's getting worse the first time. I just missed, didn't I? I'm so sorry. Thank you. Whoever caught that, thank you for catching. Okay.
This is our number 8.
Nice. Yeah. I should open number 4, the rejected bottle for you. What's that? Whoa. Cork taint can happen to the greatest of wines. I'm going to taste the better than anything. All right. Sorry we missed that. All right. We have the good one. Man. So much fruit, but spice as well. I don't know if they say it in the tasting sheets, but I would say there's some note of anise here. I'm going to throw in a crazy descriptor for this. I think I get sun-dried tomato. Yeah. So.
Tannis on the last one of the big they were down. This just seems like it was gone.
Yeah. My teeth were removed and then slammed back into my mouth. I'm feeling that grip. Does that portend to ageability? Perhaps. Does it take us to food pairing? Perhaps. What's that?
Licorice.
I couldn't hear.
Licorice.
Licorice. Yeah. I said anise. So anise, fennel, licorice, all similar aromas, though coming from different things. But yeah, it's very, very ripe fruit, but those tannins are intense. A vigorous decanting, perhaps. Aging, yes. We didn't decant anything. We didn't let anything breathe. We opened and poured, including poured bed. But it's lovely. Did you want to say anything about the wine, or? Yeah, no, so the technical sheet is all I can give you, but I'm so glad to have that. It's in Spanish, so perfecto. Big on the label is Bucrana, and it is a Crianza. This is something interesting. I see Crianza Reserva, Gran Reserva more in Rioja than I do in other Spanish wine regions. So even a $150 retail bottle of wine, I often don't see anything, and then you go on the back label and see it's a Hoven. So the traditional long aging is more typical for what I would say is a more traditional wine region, Rioja, versus the other DOs and DOCA and Priorat are really we're not really stuck to history. We're making the best wines we can now. And so we see Hoven as, okay, only 1 year of oak aging, but it's new oak, and we made a great wine. We didn't have to leave it 5 years in the cellar before releasing it. But this one labeled Crianza. But it's a lot of fruit, a lot of oak. That tannic structure is fun. What else do we have? 12 ones, French and American. Historically, a lot of American oak was used in Spain, and that has changed a lot. And there are many regions like Barolo swinging one way and then swinging back and coming to the middle. I would say that Spain was a lot of American oak, then French oak coming in, and more people were using the combination of French and American, and including some places with concrete vats and all that stuff.
You see the movement to Slovenian oak?
Slovenian, yeah. I have not seen that many that state that. But this is, Court of MS and tasting exams used to be, is it French or American? And there's Slovenian, Slovakian, Croatian, Hungarian. There's oak coming from all over now. There's barrels from everywhere. But I don't specifically recall seeing Slovenian oak in a tech sheet in Spain. I'm sure I've seen it, but it's not common enough that it struck a nerve with me. And nothing else really jumping out to me on the tech sheet. Shall we do favorite wine before we walk around next up?
Sure.
Why not? And I do not have the retail on these, so hopefully we can find them again, or then you can revisit them, comparing them to other wines. But I'm going to move to the thank you and questions. So just for giggles, I like to do this. So how many people, where's my tech sheets? How many people was the only white of the tasting, J. Fernando Rueda? How many of you, that was your one and only favorite wine?
It was the best way.
It was the best wine. It was so far correct. All right, normally it's not right or wrong, but you were right. All right, I thought it was lovely, but not my favorite. All right, how many people was the first rosé, the Claret, your favorite? We got one hand, lovely, an MW giving it their top pick.
There you go.
I think it's great. I can sell the hell out of it. All right, how many people was the barrel fermented rosé your favorite? Number 3. Oh, we got 4 hands.
Wow.
Okay, nice. How about the first red? Oh, the first red.
Do we get 2 choices or just one?
Depends if you're cheating or not. I am not governing this. So, yes, you could do 2. And we got a couple, 4 hands for the Castillo de Buen Amor. Good love. Can't argue. Best name. All right, we didn't taste 5. How about the bad character, mal character? Number 6, we got 2 votes for that. How about wine 7, Carmelo Rodero? 3, 4. And how about the final wine, Bucana from Toro? Toro! Okay, we got a couple bulls in the room. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you very much. Before we move along, I just have to be serious business to take care of. I should have done it earlier, but I just I need to prove my
selfie.
Okay. As good as we can. Toro!
Toro!
All right. Thank you. All right. Please enjoy.
Go turn right into wine. So
This has been another episode of Exploring the Wine Glass. Thanks for listening. If you have suggestions on what topics you would like me to discuss, please reach out on social media. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as Exploring the Wine Glass. I am also on LinkedIn as Lori Hoyt-Budd. Of course, you can always email me at exploringthewineglass@gmail.com and sign up for my newsletter at exploringthewineglass.com. If you enjoyed what you heard, please rate, review, and subscribe to help others find me more easily. And most importantly, tell your wine-loving friends, because if you like the podcast, they will too. Podcast music is Wine by Kevins. Until next week, slancha.
right now.